Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, December 2nd, a blustery and cold morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region, and there was actually a band of light snow that pushed through some of the suburbs of Philadelphia into the western part of New Jersey early this morning, even a little bit of trace of snow on the ground in some of the suburban locations. That is dissipating now, and for the most part today will become a mostly sunny day in the Mid-Atlantic region, but still windy and quite cold for this time of the year. We are now in a colder and relatively stormy weather pattern. Looks like it'll stay that way for the central and eastern U.S. for the next couple of weeks. The storm earlier this week it kind of was associated with the beginning of that pattern change, and it happened to coincide with the transition from November to December. Again, it looks like a colder and stormy weather pattern going at least until the middle part of December for much of the central and eastern U.S. And it looks like we have a big storm to deal with by the early part of the weekend, probably focused in on the Friday night and Saturday time frame, and we'll focus in on that complex storm system for the early part of the weekend over the next several minutes. Here's the latest radar loop, and you can see at the very beginning of the first few frames, this was a snow band, a line of light snow flurries that crossed through southeastern Pennsylvania early this morning, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. time frame, and ended up dissipating over the western part of New Jersey. But again, the first snowflakes of the season in many parts of southeastern Pennsylvania. Late yesterday, or early yesterday, there were snowflakes as far to the south and east as the northern suburbs of D.C. And of course, they had some significant snow yesterday across northeastern Ohio. Places like Cleveland got hit hard. Southwestern New York, Buffalo got hit pretty hard. Western part of Pennsylvania. Here's quite a snow band right now up across the central part of New York State, the western part of New York State, and that continues to slide to the east. But again, mostly sunny skies returning to the I-95 corridor region after the early morning clouds. Let's now focus in on the prospects for a pretty big storm by the early part of the weekend that could very well impact the northeastern quadrant of the nation. It'll pull out of the southern states towards the northeast, and the models have really not had a good handle on this storm so far. They've been kind of going back and forth. In fact, up until yesterday, the European model had really no sign of a big storm in the northeast U.S. It had a weaker system going off to the south and east from the southeastern U.S. out to the western Atlantic. All of a sudden, it developed a large storm for the upcoming weekend in the Friday night, Saturday time frame. We'll kind of talk about the problems the models are having right now. I'm looking at the 00Z run of the operational version of the GFS. And we'll take a look at the 0Z run of the Canadian model as well, starting off by looking at the upper atmosphere. And let me mention here that I tend to weigh in importance the 0Z run and the 12Z runs more so than the 6Z and 18Z. The latest upper air data, the latest radiuson data, is input into the 0Z runs and the 12Z runs. For the midterm runs, the 6Z and 18Z, the upper air data, which is all important for the development of storms at the surface, the upper air data is actually 6 hours old for the 6Z run and the 18Z run. They do have updated surface data, but again, all important upper air data, which is captured by radiuson balloons. We still launch radiuson balloons around the country and around the world, and generally twice a day. And again, that input data is fed into the 0Z runs and the 12Z runs. If you watch the models and you see a trend develop at 6Z and 18Z, wait until the next run with the latest upper air data to see if that trend is confirmed. So again, the bottom line here is I want to focus in on the 0Z runs because it had the very latest upper air data, and we're looking at 500 millibars right now. First of all, we have this upper level low sitting and spinning over the northeastern part of the country, still unsettled with some snow showers even this morning, and this system moved into this part of the nation by early Monday. But again, we talked about all this ridging here indicated by the oranges and red up across Canada is slowing down the movement, the departure of this initial wave of low pressure in the upper part of the atmosphere. Now we're looking to this area right here in the southwestern part of the nation. Watch what happens over the next couple of days. This is the key to our Friday night, Saturday storm in the northeastern part of the nation. And this is, again, the GFS model. And the difficulty lies in the fact that it tends to split this upper level low into two parts. One all the way down into the northeastern Mexico by late tonight, early tomorrow, and the second area now over the south central U.S. And this split continues into the day on Saturday. And here we go. This is the main wave that comes out that helps to contribute to a strong storm for the Friday night, Saturday time frame. But I just want to point out the difficulty of the models when there's a split in that upper level low feature here. Exactly the interaction between these two systems will dictate how strong and maybe even the storm track for the upcoming week, and that ultimately moves right on top of the Mid-Atlantic region by Saturday evening. And again, something hanging back here over the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. This is now late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and here's the main wave on the GFS with something hanging back here across the northern Gulf region. So the handling of these two waves is key to the forecast for the Friday night, Saturday time frame. Let's now take a look at the Canadian model. And again, we're using the 0Z run, in this case of the Canadian model, looking at the 500 millibar height anomalies. And going forward here into tomorrow morning, and here's that same upper level feature that the GFS is seeing now out over the southwestern U.S., but the Canadian handles a little bit differently. It tends to keep something hanging back in northern Mexico, but then kind of ends up consolidating the wave into one here by over the Tennessee Valley by the time we get to Saturday afternoon. So it has an even stronger system moving into the northeast U.S. as compared with the GFS. And again, it's not too much hanging back here. They end up consolidating in the Canadian model run over the Tennessee Valley, and here we go by Sunday morning. Quite a wave here. Both models do have a pretty significant storm to impact the Mid-Atlantic region, the Ohio Valley, New England area in the Friday night, Saturday time frame. But they handle the upper air pattern a little bit differently, and the European is a little different than both of these. So still some questions to be answered. That's the bottom line I want to make here, is that there's difficulty in some of the models. Do I believe there'll be a strong storm? Yes, I do. We've focused in on the teleconnection indices over the past several days, and first of all, the AO and NAO sliding into negative territory certainly tells us that there will be some cold air around. And the PNA, which we've also talked about here, the Pacific North American Teleconnection Index is in positive territory. That's generally associated with upper level ridging at the 500 millibar level across the west coast of the U.S., the west coast of Canada, usually upper level ridging in that part of North America, the west coast of Canada and the U.S., leads to downstream troughing over the eastern U.S., and that's where the surface storm should form for the early part of the weekend. Again, we're talking Friday night, Saturday time frame. Well, let's now walk through the surface forecast maps from the 0Z GFS run, the operational version. Continuation of windy and cold conditions in the northeast today, way below normal for this time of the year. Again, we had some snow showers early this morning in southeastern Pennsylvania, east central Pennsylvania, western New Jersey. Those have dissipated. Should be basically a dry day from here on out with plenty of sunshine developing by the midday hours. Let's move forward here, and attention turns to the south central U.S. By the time we get to tomorrow morning, some snow breaking out across the south central states. There'll be some accumulations there. Not a widespread area, but this is the area to watch in terms of our potential storm in the northeast Friday night, Saturday time frame. And here we go. It then starts to consolidate into a strong storm system by the time we get to Saturday morning. And here we go over the Ohio Valley, a pretty A healthy storm, 1002 millibars, but watch it intensify here pretty quickly here by Saturday evening. 995 low right over the central part of Maryland, DC metro region. Cold enough for some snow up across interior New England for sure. Now it's a little bit of a high pressure system also over the southeastern part of Canada. So this very well could end up being an accumulating snow event for some interior sections of the northeast U.S. over the upcoming weekend. We're talking Saturday night time frame for interior New England, maybe western and central Pennsylvania. Even an outside chance that this particular storm could have a changeover to sleet or snow into the I-95 corridor region later Saturday into Saturday night. And again, some of that depends on the final track of the storm, the final intensity of the storm. This is the forecast map for early Sunday. And look at that, that's a healthy snowstorm for, including some ice as well for the interior sections of New England all the way from northeastern Pennsylvania up across interior New England. Could be some snow accumulations associated with this storm. And again, watch for the possibility of a changeover to sleet and snow even into the I-95 corridor region late on the back end of the storm. We're talking later Saturday into Saturday night. Now this time of the year, from a climatological point of view, it certainly is more difficult to get accumulating snow into the I-95 corridor region and points to the east to the coast. The reason for that, there's a fundamental reason for that, and that is the oceans are still relatively warm compared to what they'll be like in late February and March. The temperatures in the western Atlantic of the sea surface actually reached their bottom late February and March. This time of the year still see some 60s not too far off the New Jersey coast, the southern New Jersey coast, and that's always causes some difficulty for some snow. It can happen for sure in December to get accumulating snow in the I-95 corridor region, but it's much more difficult because of the sea surface temperature. In fact, let's take a look at an ocean temperature map right now. And again, this is actually showing some sea surface temperature anomalies that are actually indicating above normal sea surface temperatures right now across the western Atlantic, just off the mid-Atlantic coastline. Even some water still in the 60s just off of Cape May, the southern part of New Jersey. So that's always a tough factor to deal with in terms of getting accumulating snow into the I-95 corridor region during the month of December. More favorable in February and March when these actually bottom out and reach their lowest temperatures of the whole season. Nonetheless, we'll watch. This is an interesting weather pattern that we are now evolving into. Colder, stormy. It looks like another big storm potential for Friday night and Saturday with a lot of rain on the front end and maybe a changeover to sleet and snow even into the I-95 corridor region on the back end, and certainly some accumulating snow possible interior sections of the northeastern part of the nation, especially interior New England, for example, later Saturday night time frame. So something we'll focus in on over the next couple of days. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.